right. Thank you for joining us today on the Chantay Golson Show, where we talk to small business owners as well as high-level executives on the subject matter of burnout. We provide any and all information that's suitable to help you to overcome and prevent burnout. I have a special guest today, and we have some meaty information that we're going to discuss on today. Carolyn Bishop is with us today, and today she is going to give us some insight in regards to what her mission is, her thinking is in regards to burnout. She has a business where she helps others to overcome business difficulties by providing business balance. And I just created that a little bit for her, modified that. But she's been a leader and a coach for women in business for about 19 years. And her work is to help with time efficiency models and to allow the increasing in the amount and enjoyment that her clients now have, to help them to get to another place that they will be able to have more fun, family time, functionality, and health, and the list goes on and on. So she helps them to increase their level of success and help them to dump the things that are not working for them. And so welcome, Carolyn, to the Chantay Golson Show. We're so glad you're here.
Thanks, Chantay. It's so great to be here. I really appreciate you having me on.
Absolutely. So tell us a little bit more about you in terms of the business with Balance Coach.
So I work with specifically with business owners, so people who are designing their businesses, who are controlling kind of a lot of the decisions and how it's moving forward. And I teach them not only how to build a really successful business, they're leaders, they're people who have maybe a lot of pulls on their time, a lot of pulls on their attention with lots of different people that they were leading along the way. And what I do is, again, I not only help them build a really successful business in that leadership role, but do it in a way that their personal life stays the priority. Because if you have a great business with no life, you're not going to be happy. And if you have a passion for a business that's not going anywhere, but your life is great, you may not be happy either. So it is about that balance of making sure that the way that you're living and in your day-to-day with your business and your life are both reflective of who you want to be and how you want to live.
Yeah, absolutely. And so with that being stated, tell us about what your concept or your thought is on burnout itself.
So burnout, it's sad that I see it more often than I would like to, it's when people are feeling pulled in so many different directions that they get to the point that they don't feel like they're measuring up in any area. And so that sense of exhaustion comes in, the sense of, gosh, what's wrong? Like, why isn't this working? And it can be to the point of a feeling of hopelessness of, do I really just want to keep doing this? And I see people give up on dreams. I see people give up on a great vision that they have, or a new idea that comes in that they just think, oh, there's no way, I can't even handle what I have already. And it's heartbreaking. And that's why I do what I do, is to make sure that the people who I'm working with have the ability to achieve what they're looking for, move forward with the ideas that they have and create those businesses that they want while having the life that they'd like to live. And burnout can be really incapacitating and stopping you from achieving what you're meant to achieve in your life in all areas.
Right. So tell us a little bit about your belief in the causes of women business owners experiencing burnout, more specifically in terms of what you have witnessed over the 19 years. So let's go into direct and deep symptoms or clues of this experience from your audience.
So there's two specifically that come to mind. And the one is kind of a little play on words. It's a lot of fun. I love saying this, is that women are shooting on themselves. The idea of listening to so many outside voices, so many outside perspectives, and not even necessarily that's a spoken voice, but it can come in the form of comparison. Looking at someone who does something similar to you, whether it be a coworker, whether it be a leader that you're wanting to follow in their path, a friend who lives next door to you, but we look at other people and do that comparison game, and we should on ourselves. Well, I should be doing this because they do that. I should be acting this way in my home life because that's what they do. Or I should be approaching my business from this perspective because they're successful and that's what they do. And the idea of I should, rather than really taking a CEO stance in not just your business, but in your life and your time, and saying, what do I want? Where am I coming from? What are my strengths? What are my gifts? And what do I really want things to look like? So that's one of the first ones is people shitting on themselves.
So let me ask you a question. When people are shitting on themselves, it makes me think that they are then, if they're not careful, move on to a confused business owner. So what do you think about that?
So that exactly leads into the steps when you catch it, because the first one, of course, is that awareness of, oh my gosh, I have been shitting on myself. I mean, I think back to when my kids were young. I was shitting on myself volunteering in their classroom because in my past I was a teacher, and so I thought I should be in the classroom. I know those teachers need the help, but that wasn't where I wanted my life to be at the moment. That wasn't where I was headed, but I was shitting on myself. Mm-hmm. So that awareness is the first piece. And then from there, taking steps. And there's 3 pieces to the steps. One is doing the reflection of what do I want? Who do I want to be? Where do I want to take my life? What is the ultimate goal that I'm going for? And then the second one is assessing, is what I'm doing right now with my time, is that taking me there? Is this going to get me to that goal? Is this the path to the life I'm wanting to live, or am I spinning in the moment? And then the third one is taking that action, is when you recognize what you are doing that maybe is a should on yourself, to stop that. Mm-hmm. And to have the courage and the strength to say, you know what, this isn't right for me, and to be able to pull away and give someone else the opportunity to do something that maybe you were shitting on yourself about, but pulling out of that. And then moving forward in the actions that you know are lined up with where you want to go.
Mm-hmm. The third component that you were making mention of that comes from the should have and the confusion is the aspect of what I call giving yourself grace to be okay with what you were doing in the past, to have a change of course. Take as you begin to evaluate, you begin to understand what works for you and what doesn't work. But we have this problem, we have this roadblock of familiarity. And so when we have familiarity, even though it's distorted, even though it's not working, it's familiar. So a lot of people work within that familiar zone because it's scary to step out. It's scary to think different. It's scary to say I have something else to offer, but I've been offering this. And so with that being stated, I think that not only does the executive brain have this huge pull left and right because of what I should do and what I shouldn't do, then that causes a mere delay in putting in things that are necessary in order to move forward, i.e., delegation. People, especially small business owners, are very afraid of delegation because what? Nobody can do it better than me. However, how many me's do I have? And when I count on me, how long does it take a project to occur? 2 years? 1 year? But I'm busy. I'm working on it, right? But you're not working on it to the capacity of execution. And that's the power of delegation. And so that comes to me as you state that.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. And that really comes to the second piece that I see as one of the causes of burnout is the reactive way that we go through our days, where somebody emails you and boom, you direct your attention to that email and you go in the direction that they were in at that moment. Or pop-ups coming up on your phone, or even somebody coming into your office space physically and asking a question. And it comes down to, again, being CEO of your time, whether you're talking with your family, with your job, with your health and your exercise, whatever it is. but turning off notifications, eliminating those distractions as much as possible. I remember I worked in my car for probably about 5 years because it was the one place I could bubble myself in and avoid distractions, because the reactive way of walking through the day can really lead to burnout quickly, because we are jumping to so many other people's demands and really not having the ability to let ourselves be in our full capacity in whatever it is we're doing, whether you're doing a puzzle with a kid on the floor, or whether you are designing your entire business plan, whatever it may be. But getting rid of other notifications and other distractions, and then setting hours so that when you turn it off, you turn it off.
Yeah.
And screening who gets your time.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, the CEO of the time. And I think it's so very important for people to be aware in order to be successful, which means I'm getting close to my goal. And in the process of getting close to my goal, I must have productivity. I must have cash flow. We're talking about business owners. And so with that being stated, two dimensions are very difficult for people to overcome, especially when they are in the mental exhaustion phase. And we know that there are multiple phases to burnout. However, when they are in the mental exhaustion phase, that causes their thinking to be less sharp, their focus to be less sharp, and the habits that they have created for themselves beforehand becomes elevated or heightened, which is an additional distraction. And that's why they're mentally exhausted. And for an example, multitasking. I multitask for decades, not years, decades. And it became a pride and joy, if you will, to get multiple things down or done. But when I really go back and look at it as someone who divorced that concept, I divorced multitasking, because I noticed that when I focus on one thing and one thing only, that becomes completed and becomes completed to the full capacity that I have. So even in my personal life, because of the decades of that tasking phenomenon, I have to slow down and say, wait, no, finish what you're doing now. I have to do self-talk, even now, even after I've divorced it, because we know after we divorce physically or literally, there's residue. There's some leakage, spillover from habit to current. And so with that being stated, when you talk about these particular principles and what people are struggling with, their pain point, I want to know a little bit about what must they learn? What makes they learn to move on?
So I think we touched on one of the first ones is learn and be aware of where you are shooting on yourself, where you are acting reactive. And that kind of is the basis of your starting blocks to just have an awareness. And like you said, giving yourself grace, not trying to fix it all at one time, but giving yourself little tiny steps along the way. Even if you can acknowledge or recognize one thing where you are shooting on yourself and you're devoting your time and your energy to something, is saying, okay, that's the one thing I'm going to change right now. And all the others that I recognize, we're going to leave those for now.
Yeah.
I'm just going to take one tiny step so that you can feel success, so you can feel movement, because that will motivate you forward. And if you try and fix it all, that's more exhaustion, right? That can cause burnout of wanting to fix the shoulds. So little tiny steps, little pieces. And then when you're choosing what to do and what to move forward with, looking at, your personalized plan, what are my gifts? When I do focus in on something, that's what propels me. This is what gets me results, not what I'm hearing gets others results, not what I'm being told should get me results, but what really moves me. When do I feel that success? What do I do that others look at me and go, wow, how did you do that so easily? So recognizing those pieces and putting them into your time in your calendar as much as possible, because that's really when you're sitting in your true self.
Mm-hmm.
And then moving forward with I mean, I coach business with balance. So one of the key concepts to that is that you're planning, when I'm talking about these concepts of letting go of the shoulding, letting go of a reactive time, is deciding it with all areas of your life in mind. So when you're making business decisions, you want to think, how does this line up with my faith? Does this line up with my vision for my family? Does this line up for my vision for my health? Does this line up with my vision for my fun and my freedom?
Right.
Because we're an integral being in all the areas. If you have a lousy day at work, you know you're going to carry that over somehow into your home life. If you're having a fight at home with a significant other, you're probably going to try your best, but you're going to end up bringing it into your business life as well. So we want to keep all the areas of our life in mind as we make these plans, as we move forward with what am I going to let go of? What am I going to accept onto my calendar? And then, like you said, you mentioned the delegating. I also want to add in automation.
Yes. Most
Anything
definitely.
you do on a regular basis, something that's a repeat action, whether that be making breakfast every day, or whether it be a communication system in your business, anything that's repeated, if you can find a way to automate it or delegate it so that someone else can do it, I mean, that frees things up right away. And I know as business owners, that word delegation, like you said, Chantay, can feel scary because we think instantly, oh, I'm going to have to pay. I'm going to have to pour out masses of money. There's many, many ways to delegate that don't involve giving away your hard-earned money.
Yes.
As simple as, trading your great skills with somebody else's great skills, or setting, I think back to when I always kind of come back to family examples because I know they apply to so many of us, but like carpooling, that is a system. That's a way to delegate and automate something. If your kids are going to school every day, setting up with 3 other moms so that you're not driving every day, but you're driving 2 days a week instead.
Right. It can be as little as boiling eggs at night.
Yes.
To have for breakfast, or as big as a virtual assistant or an executive assistant helping. So yeah.
So really, in terms of a first step, if someone's feeling burnout right now, if they're feeling like, gosh, I just have too much, how am I going to do this? Everything's coming at me, is start to identify what's one of the main key pieces that brings that feeling up. Where is it hitting? Where is it coming to the forefront? And that's the one that you want to think, what's one little thing I can do right now to either automate this, delegate this, delay this, or dump it?
Yep.
And move forward in that one little piece at a time. Don't try and fix it all, but one little piece. And how can I either dump, delay, delegate, or automate? And set up that system. And really the support. And sometimes it's just asking a significant other or a family member, hey, I need you to do this. Or if you have office help, to have somebody to say to somebody, hey, can you help me protect my time? I've decided that I'm not going to be reactive today during the hours of 1 and 2.
Right.
So can you please field all things for me? Or if you are on your own, if you're a solopreneur, or you're working in a situation where you don't have somebody who can kind of play that barrier for you, play your, what's the word I'm looking for? Your bouncer, who is your guard. If you don't have someone who can do that, setting up yourself that bubble of protection, like working in your car, or turning off your computer, putting your phone away and walking to a completely other room, so that reactiveness isn't a temptation.
Yeah, a couple of things that I want to add. The first thing I want to add is it's important that we protect our time by protecting our energy level. And so with that being stated, by identifying what's important to do, by creating a list of things that are not busy work but money making activities is going to be important. So I call this a night routine, and the night portion really consists of any time after your duties are finalized, because that's when your brain becomes a little bit more freer because you know that you're done with work. So just take 5 minutes out of your time after you put up everything. If you're working from home, if you're working in the office, after you close down everything, just jot down the things that you need to do and put them in order. Now, if you want to find out how I do that, you can go to my page at coachchantay.com/burnout, and you can get my PDF of the order of organization, which teaches you how to step by step, how to create a newfound to-do list that, rather than maximizing your time, it teaches you to maximize your energy and reduce your time while getting everything done. So that is what I created out of my own burnout. And if I would have had that a little bit earlier, I may have preserved myself a little more. But they have, if they've been watching my videos, they are aware of my full story. So, Carolyn, the question that I have for you now is, when it comes to your clientele, how do you define more balance for them? And let me kind of go into that just a little bit, because everybody has their own perspective of balance based on their own story, to include their beliefs from childhood and so forth and so on, and based on the current status and duties and pride, all that thing mixed up in between, and you were talking about creating a lifestyle that's relevant to family and fun and etc. And that's what I call value. So I help them through their own values. So tell me more about the meaning of balance when you're facing all of these different type of people. How do you help them to come to a balance for themselves?
Yes, I love this question, because balance for a while was almost like a 4-letter word. It's like, balance doesn't exist. What are you talking about? That's a farce. That's, an absolute fallacy. But it was set up in a way that it was being talked about that your work is on one side of the scale, and your life and the rest of it is on the other side. And that we were supposed to have this fabulously even, balanced world, which isn't the case. Because for one woman, so my personal definition of balance is that it is about your time right now. Is your time and how you're spending your time and your energy, like you say, your energy, is it lined up with who you be and what you truly want to achieve? So that's why you see behind me the words achieve and be, because when you have identified who you are, your strengths, your gifts, your talents, what you're meant for, what comes to you naturally, what comes to you in a way that when you learn it quickly. You line up your energy and your time and the actions you're taking with that, and it's in the progress direction of what you really want to achieve in your life, where you're wanting to go, the destination you're wanting to head to, the how you want. And I'm not talking 5, 10, 20 years from now. I'm talking, what do you want tomorrow to look like? Right. What do you want the next hour to look like?
Because people think they don't have authority to change their lives. You know what I mean? They don't think that doing one change, one thing is in their wheelhouse. And we have to help them to understand their mindset. You have the power to change in 2 minutes.
That's where I want to say, I dare you. I dare you for a minute to be CEO of your life, if you're feeling that way, and say, I'm going to make this little one change and see how that feels. Be able to say, like, no, I'm going to do this just for the next 10 minutes.
Yeah.
Because every little tiny step you take will give you a little bit of that feeling that gives you the courage that then eventually gives you the confidence to continue moving forward that way. Yeah. But it is about taking little steps so that you can feel success as you move forward with that, and so that you can get comfortable with that feeling, because it can be scary. Like the idea, the concept of what I'm talking about, you could be thinking, oh my gosh, this is so far-fetched. But when you take a little step, you can absolutely get there.
Now, Karen, what do you think about this? This comes to mind. We have a few minutes left, but I want to plug this in as well. When you're talking about, let's talk about it in outside of the box way. So when we're talking about building confidence, understanding you are the CEO of the world, what are some ways that people can build the confidence in lieu of taking ownership of their own life and world? What does confidence do in the first place, okay, for a business owner? Let's start there.
Yeah, so confidence, what it does, and especially when you think about it from the perspective of a business owner, it gives you the ability to try something you might not have tried, which gives you the ability to discover those strengths and talents and skills that you may have that are uncovered. It gives you the ability to reach people you've maybe never reached before. Mm-hmm. It gives you that forward-moving vision. Mm-hmm. As you take one little step, you can see a little further. Yeah. Like if I have a flashlight in my hand right now, I could maybe see to the end of the hallway in front of me. Mm-hmm. But until I get to the end of that hallway and I turn, I can't see down the next hallway with that flashlight, because the light's not going to turn on its own. But if we take those little steps forward, that's where, that forward action gives us the ability to see further. And so right now, if you're thinking, oh my gosh, how do I get 100 clients? Never mind, I can only get one right now. Well, then go for 2. And when you see 2, that might take you around that corner and be like, hey, I could get 5. And so that's where that comparison game can be dangerous, because we're looking at somebody who's got thousands of clients and going, oh, that's what I want, but forget it. There's no way.
Yeah. Yeah. And there's a lot of work to get clients. We're not going to minimize that. Yet, when you increase your skill set, when you increase your confidence, it helps you to get closer to that goal. The more knowledge you have, the more confident you are. And so, Carolyn, you have a 5-day boot camp. Tell me a little bit about that and how people can read more about your boot camp and find you on social media.
So it is called the Rapid Business Growth with Balance Boot Camp, because I really don't believe in the whole short-term sacrifice, long-term gain thing. I think that's one of the causes of burnouts as well. So it's the Rapid Business Growth. We will be talking about how to find the right people for your business so that it's easy, and how to do that. We talk about bringing out your superpowers and how to know what they are and where they come from. We talk about time and balance, and actually like what steps can you take for your calendar to not feel pulled in 15 directions. So it is about rapid business growth. We are going to grow, how you grow a business quickly without feeling stressed out, without feeling burned out. Okay. And so if you want to see more information about it, it's www.carolynbishop.com/bootcamp. And Carolyn is spelled Carolyn. So it's carolynbishop.com/bootcamp. And it's a free boot camp where you get to come in and experience a lot of different tactical things that you'll be able to walk away with. My goal at the end of the workbook is fabulous. I worked on it for about 1.5 years as I redid the boot camp. So my goal is that every woman who does this boot camp, business owners, coaches, direct sales leader, anyone who's leading other people, they walk away with a resource that as they are taking those little steps towards that courage and the confidence to be CEO of your life, that they have that to continually refer back to and how to move forward.
Okay, great. And can they find you on social media as well?
Yes, you can just do Carolyn Bishop. And again, it's spelled Carolyn. Also the group, I have a free group for business owners. It is Business Women with Balance. So if you go into Facebook and look for Business Women with Balance, you'll see my face and you can join the group.
Okay. Well, thank you so much, Carolyn, for being with us. We're going to close out the podcast and say to all of our business owners, as well as our executives and leaders, understand that working balance, not work-life balance, but working life balance is the key here. The key takeaway in helping you to understand that there are things that you can implement in order to have self-care. And one of those things that we talked about for self-care was to delegate. Protect your time, change your mindset to know that you're the CEO of your own world and you can create your calendar as you see fit that matches with your family, your fun, your finances, and the list goes on. And I call those things values. So understand that these things are important in order to prevent and overcome burnout. As someone who's went through burnout for 5 years back to back, I can tell you that one of the first elements that really began to help me was to create self-care. And that meant I created self-care every single day within my schedule. I did not let my schedule overconsume me. I decided to overconsume my calendar. And so we'll learn a little bit more about that. But subscribe, share, like the video, let somebody know that we are here. We're posting every single week. So for now, thank you for joining the Chantay Golson Show, and we wish you a great and productive day. Bye for now.